Welcome to Devils in Red 59. My name is Steve, and today is Thursday, the 19th of February. We're going to be starting off with a bit of transfer news today. Obviously, from Manchester United's point of view, it's thought that um, we'll be looking at hopefully bringing in a new left back or a left back that can play on the right and vice versa. Two central midfielders, left winger, and possibly another number nine. Albeit we have got Cunha and Mbumo that can play as a nine. It's felt like that they may bring in another number nine that either Sesko can learn off, or it can be somebody that's coming in. It's going to be in competition with Sesko. There was a rumor the other day that there was a possibility that Rasmus Højlund could possibly come back simply because um, we wouldn't have to pay no money for him. We already own the player, and he's out with Napoli on an option to buy. So if Ineos feel that they could bring him back and play under this new system of a 4-3-3, which seems to be suiting everybody, they could be thinking, well, we do need another number nine, so let's bring back Rasmus, and that saves us 40, 50, 60 million. But obviously that remains to be seen. I think Rasmus, since he left, is quite happy over in Napoli, and he's getting a lot of good game time. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. Barcelona, it's come out that our scouts were in the San Siro um, monitoring a game with DeMarco, and we know that DeMarco has been linked to the Premiership before with Newcastle, but it's come out from the club not to read too much into it, as they do have a lot of their scouts going going to watch a lot of players around the world that they can compare against maybe other players that they're interested in. So if we go for one particular player and the club concerned say, well, we want 60, 70 million for him, then Ineos can go back and say, well, we only sort of match him up to DeMarco, and he's in the region of 50, 55, or 60, so they've got a comparison that they can try and use to negotiate on a player that they are more interested in. And also with Barcelona, it came out a few days ago that it was felt that Barcelona, albeit they want to keep Marcus Rashford, may try and play to try and get him cheaper than the 30 million euros it's been set. Um, but Man United seem quite adamant that 30 million euros for what Marcus Rashford is and what he's doing. I mean, he's done well since he's gone to Barcelona, albeit a lot of it's coming off the bench. He's had quite a few assists, and he's scored a few goals as well. But obviously, if you compare Marcus Rashford to similar left wingers and strikers around Europe of a similar age, they're probably in the region of anything from 50 to about 60 million pounds. So I don't think Barcelona are getting a bad deal at 30 million euros for him. Um, and I mean, if Marcus Rashford did come back, I think it'd just be a case that because he's publicly stated, I only want Barcelona, and Barcelona said they want him. That if he did come back, he'd be saying, well, look, just drop a few more million off the asking price, and let's all move on, because I'm not really going to play for United again. Manchester United have made that pretty clear that they don't feel that he's got a future or a place in the Man United squad. So it's probably better that they just alter the price, and if Barcelona want him, they'll have to pay it, wouldn't they? The same as everybody has to pay the price for any player that they want. Um, Elliot Anderson at Nottingham Forest again. I heard something earlier that it was known that Manchester City have apparently made contact with the agents of Elliot Anderson, obviously to show their interest in the player. But it's not a foregone conclusion because Man City, the side they are and the trophies they've won and they're always in Europe, it's not a guaranteed certainty that Elliot Anderson would pick Manchester City over Manchester United because it's been said before that Elliot Anderson wants to feel like he's part of a project and uh, be part of it moving forward to build a good side and win silverware that way. So I don't think he's necessarily going to pick City over, Manchester United, Chelsea, or even Arsenal. Um, I think it'll be what the project is and the players that are coming in at whatever club and what the vision is moving forward. Are we going to guarantee championship football every year? Um, and obviously the money side of it. I mean, we're not going to be able to compete with the likes of Manchester City because the chances are they'd probably offer him somewhere between about 250 and 350 £100,000 a week, and obviously with our wage structure, trying to bring it down to no more than about the 200,000, then that's the only thing really I could see that might force him to go to a club like Man City. But I'm led to believe that again, where he does want a project more than anything, that the money may not be as important as what people think. So, we've just got to wait really and see what happens because it's going to be well into March, beginning of April time before we get a clear picture of what targets we're going for and the contacts being made with agents to see whether those particular players, favour coming to Manchester United and whether we can speak to the player and the agents and put our project forward to them, and obviously what wage is going to be involved in that. So, it might be a couple of the targets that we don't want to come to us because of lack of silverware or, the wages not being where they want it to be. So, a couple of the targets could be straight off our list of midfielders to start with. But as I understand it, having listened to Ben Jacobs, he seems to think that the midfield targets for us have probably decreased a little bit now as they're being dwindled down by Manchester United, so that we've got a clearer picture of who we really want to go for. Um, and that's obviously Elliot Anderson, Belabor, Walton, and Stiller seem to be the main ones, as well as possibly Tilani from Newcastle. So those seem to be the main five favoured ones from Manchester United at the moment. But people say, why have Manchester United got such an interest still in Belabor at Brighton when his form's dropped off the way it has this season compared to the way it was last season? And apparently, Belabor likes to be able to play with players that have got the energy and the workhorse about them, and it's felt that because Brighton's form has actually dropped off this season so far compared to what it was from the middle to end of season last year when he was performing really well. Um, that's the feeling behind Manchester United, that because Brighton aren't performing well, Belabor's not performing well, so the interest for him is still very much there. So again, we'll have to wait and see what happens onto that one. I mean, there's still no price set for Belabor with Manchester United and Brighton, so it'll be interesting to see how they value him with his drop in form this season, as to whether they still think he's worth 100 million or 120 million. So we'll have to try and wait and see what happens with that. Um, Newcastle, Anthony Gordon and Talani. Again, it's no secret that they're of interest to Manchester United. I mean, Tonali as a midfielder. Again, we know that we want to bring in two, possibly three midfielders in the summer, with possibly Ugarte leaving and Casemiro definitely leaving. I mean, that would realistically only leave Mainu. So obviously, we're looking at two to three players, whether that'll be a Talali and Anderson, or Anderson and Balaba, or a cheaper option. We'll have to wait and see on that one, but we certainly need two to three midfielders to come in. We know that Bruno and that can drop into midfield if we require him to, but his future's uncertain at the moment as to what he's going to do. But reference Anthony Gordon as a left winger. Um, he's a highly rated left winger. I mean, his work rate is very, very good. The way he gets back, his speed going forward, his contributions and assists, and obviously the goals that he scores himself. I think Anthony Gordon would be a very, very good fit for Manchester United. But again, like anything, it's all going to come down to price, isn't it? So, as I say, until we get to about March, April, I don't think it'll be too public, who we're definitely going for, but come March, April, hopefully we should know a lot more. Little bit of news on Mainu. It's felt that Mainu's contract is getting close. It should be sorted out within the next few weeks, which will be good. And as we've said before, I don't think the money's or the wages are going to be so much of an issue with Mainu. I think it'll just be more of maybe, am I going to be guaranteed certain football? But I think he will certainly sign a new contract before the World Cup, or the team breaks up for the players to go off to the World Cup. Harry Maguire, again, it's reported that it's getting very, very close to Harry signing a new contract. They don't think that the reduction in wages is going to be uh, too much of a problem, because Harry wants to stay at Man United. And obviously, as we've said before, it'll save Ineos having to pay out 40, 50 million to bring a new central defender in. I think it's more of a case with Harry that he wants it tied up sooner rather than later, so that he knows what his future is going to be. Um, and I would think that Harry, with his current age, would probably be looking for the board to hopefully give him another 2 years, even though it be a reduced wage. I think that's what he'll be looking for, 2 years. If it's only 12 months, I think then he may look at it. I have heard that one or two clubs have spoken to Harry's agents to see what the availability of him and that's going to be. But obviously, until he knows where we are with Manchester United, they can't really go any further forward on that. But it's felt that uh, other clubs, West Ham have been in the frame before. There's been mention of Fulham that could be interested in Harry, as well as over in the Italian league. And it's felt that they would quite happily uh, pay an half decent wage, probably around what we're looking to pay, but maybe quite happy to give him a 2 year contract. So I think if Harry, you know, can be assured 2 years on his contract, I think that he'll be quite happy to sign. He's very liked in the dressing room. The young lads coming through, Yoro and Heaven, they rate him very much, and I think he spends a lot of time with them, uh, passing down his experience, which is only going to be good for them. And as I say, it saves Ineos spending out any more money. Um, so that's really it on the transfer front at the moment. I mean, there are other names being bandished around at the moment that United are looking at or interested in, but nothing firm from the likes of Ben Jacobs and stuff. It's just really Man United scouts going around looking at one or two people, but nothing concrete at the moment. So, as I say, it's going to be March, April before we start moving on players, seeing if we can get one or two in before the season is fully over, like knowing that we've got them to come in June before the World Cup starts. So I think we'll all have to wait and see, when that period of time comes as to who they are really interested in. Uh, Little bit more on the manager. There's not really a lot to report on it, like, but Ben Jacobs was saying that Ineos are going to take the time. They quite favour what Michael Carrick's doing at the moment, and if he continues along his winning streak and picking up draws, then obviously he's got to be in contention for consideration for the job at the end of the season. But there are other managers at Ineos are saying they still want to speak to, and again, it's felt by Ben Jacobs that it's going to be round about throughout the March period that they start holding stronger talks with managers of interest, and then obviously when the season's coming to an end, they'll be in a better position to say, well, we've interviewed another four managers as well as Carrick, and we're writing two of them off, and so it's going to come down between Carrick and the other two managers. So hopefully we'd get some sort of a decision from Ineos before the break for the World Cup comes as to who our manager is going to be, because obviously that's going to benefit us in a lot of different ways for the transfers we want to go to, being able to sell a project, and how Michael Carrick plays and what his vision is. So that's really an update on the current transfers and the managerial position. Just to talk a bit on the ownership, we still have a lot going about what Sir Jim Radcliffe have said about migration and so forth, which again I said before, I don't want to get involved in the ins and the outs of it, but it is causing a lot of problems within the media as well as the sponsors. I believe that the sponsors are obviously talking with Manchester United. I understand that the Glazers are not happy about Jim Radcliffe's comments. I mean, albeit it was said out of Manchester United because he's a part owner of the club, it's quite naturally going to come back and hang over the club as well. So obviously, it's not a good situation to be in. Um, and obviously, the Glazers, I believe, have made their feelings felt that they're not happy about it as well. I mean, we've had a loss of revenue, quite a big loss of revenue over this last 12 months with not having qualified for the Champions League. And, it's affecting the sponsors as well. Uh, Probably not going to get as much money because of what's been said. So, that's not putting us in a good place. So we've just got to hope that we can qualify for the Champions League this season, which will bring additional revenue in. The other thing is, it was reported earlier in the week, um, no more details have been released about it, but apparently, the early part of February, there was a loan that's been taken out against Manchester United. Now, we can only assume that this loan is connected to the Glazers, but as I say, we have no further details on that at the moment. But is it a case that the Glazers have took out another loan against Manchester United for the interest apparently they've got in Indian cricket team. I'm not saying that that is the case, but if a loan has been took out against Manchester United, you can't see any other reason why this loan would have been took out other than maybe for that reason, and certainly nothing else has come out about it since. So we've just got to watch and listen for anything further to come out on that. But if they have took a loan out for the purchase of this Indian cricket club, that's not good. It's saggling our club with a lot more debt. Um, and our debt is big enough as it is without having further debt. So, I, as a Man United fan, I mean, I'm 66. I've been following Manchester United from the age of 4, so that was 62 years ago. And I've never, ever seen a situation like this with an ownership behaving the way that they do and the things that they do. I mean, the Glazers, okay, they have indirectly spent money on transfers over the 20 years or 21 years that they've been here, but that's not of their own money. Um, so we really need to find out what's going on with the ownership, because I think it's absolutely appalling. I think the ownership's toxic. I think it's poisonous, and now is probably the best time that Manchester United fans have had to start the protests again, because obviously if they're getting the heat on them over Jim Radcliffe's comments and the Glazers have got the heat on them, then I think if the fans get together, like the 58 that organised the last protest when we played Fulham, now's a very, very good time for the fans to start putting additional pressure on Glinios and hopefully start creating them enough of a problem that they might contemplate selling. Um, it might just generate interest again from Sheikh Jazim, or somebody that's got that type of wealth that might come forward, and if they know the fans are behind it and supporting it, it gives them a stronger case, and get these people out of our club, get the debt paid off, start bringing in the players that we need to get Man United back to where we need to be, and it's as simple as that, really. We want these people out of our club, and I'll give it all the support I can, and I know that you, as Manchester United fans, will also give it your support. So obviously, let's hope that the 58, as I say, can start putting together a few more protests. I know it's been supported by other channels, such as Mark at the United Stand and Terry at the Football Terrace and many others. So the more pressure they get put on them, hopefully it'll have some sort of reaction to put them under the type of pressure for them to sell. But I'd just like to thank everybody for viewing the videos, and please smash a like, turn on your notification, and please subscribe, because it all matters and helps build a community that I'm trying to build. So thank you very much. I will be doing another video hopefully on Sunday prior to the game with Everton on Monday. As we said before, I think it's going to be hard for us to go to Everton. They're going to make it hard for us, but I think if we come back with the players having had a bit of an holiday, feeling a bit refreshed and got some fresh training in, hopefully we can just go there and pick up where we left off with the 4 wins that we had. I don't think we played particularly bad against West Ham. They just made it very difficult for us, and I don't expect any different going to Everton. But my prediction is I think we'll win the game. I think we'll go behind initially, and I think that we'll possibly come back to win the game 2-1. So keeping fingers crossed for Monday. And as I say, thank you ever so much for the people that tune into the videos. It is very, very new to me, and I'm learning. I'll make mistakes along the way, but hopefully I can rectify that with each video that comes out. So please do smash a like, turn on your notifications, and hit that subscribe button, which is most important. Um, and I look forward to speaking to you again on Sunday. So thank you very much.